Close your eyes and imagine this. It's September 1683. The air is thick with smoke, the clash of steel, and the roar of cannons. Outside the gates of Vienna, the mighty Ottoman army, nearly 150,000 strong, surrounds the city. Inside, only a desperate garrison and starving citizens cling to survival. But now, imagine the walls finally collapse. Ottoman banners rise above Vienna's towers. The Christian capital of Central Europe has fallen. What if the Ottoman Empire captured Vienna in 1683? In our real history, the Ottoman Empire was at the height of its power in the 16th and 17th centuries. Stretching from North Africa to the Middle East and deep into Europe, it was one of the most formidable empires the world had ever seen. Vienna, the capital of the Habsburgs, stood as the gateway to Central and Western Europe. Twice the Ottomans tried to take it, once in 1529 and again in 1683. Both times they failed. The second siege in 1683 ended in disaster for the Ottomans. A massive relief army led by Polish King Jan Sobieski broke the siege, pushing the Ottomans back. That defeat marked the beginning of Ottoman decline in Europe. But history could have gone very differently. Now imagine this. Instead of being rescued by Sobieski's cavalry, Vienna falls. The Habsburgs are crushed. The Ottoman crescent waves above the city's cathedrals. This single event would have completely changed the map of Europe, and perhaps even the modern world. The fall of Vienna would send shockwaves across Europe. The city was not just another fortress, it was the beating heart of the Habsburg Empire. Its loss would cripple the Holy Roman Empire and leave Central Europe wide open. The Ottomans would plunder Vienna's riches, enslave tens of thousands, and turn its great cathedrals into mosques. The psychological blow would be enormous. Imagine the panic. From Prague to Munich, rumors would spread of unstoppable Ottoman armies marching west. The Pope in Rome would call for urgent crusades, but few kings would be prepared. And, without Vienna as a bulwark, what would stop the Ottomans from pushing deeper into Germany, or even toward Paris? But this was only the beginning. With Vienna gone, the Habsburg dynasty collapses. Austria, Hungary, and much of the Balkans fall under Ottoman rule. The Ottomans secure the Danube River as a highway of conquest, linking Istanbul directly to Central Europe. Neighboring states would face a terrible choice: resist and risk destruction, or submit and pay tribute. Bavaria might fall within months. Venice, already locked in wars with the Ottomans, could lose its last holdings. Poland, home of Sobieski, would become the next great target. If Poland were defeated, the Ottomans would dominate Eastern Europe as well. The balance of power shifts completely. Instead of a Europe led by Catholic Habsburgs and rising Protestant states, a Muslim empire would control the heart of the continent. But what about France, England, and Spain? Would they intervene or stand aside? If the Ottomans held Vienna, Europe's political unity would shatter. The Protestant North, England, the Netherlands, parts of Germany, might form emergency alliances. Catholic powers like Spain and France, traditionally rivals of Austria, might hesitate. Some could even secretly welcome Habsburg defeat. This division would allow the Ottomans to entrench themselves. Vienna could become a new administrative center, an Ottoman capital in Europe. Culturally, the impact would be dramatic. Islam would spread across Central Europe. Mosques would rise in Vienna, Prague, and Budapest. Arabic, Turkish, and Persian influences would flow into European art, food, and architecture even more strongly than in Spain centuries earlier. Religiously, Christianity would be fractured. The Pope's calls for resistance might revive the idea of pan-European crusades, but constant defeats could erode faith in the Church's power. And here's another twist: the Age of Enlightenment. In our world, it was fueled by a relatively stable Europe after the 17th century. But in this alternate timeline, intellectuals might flee westward, to London, Amsterdam, or even the New World, accelerating the rise of colonial empires outside Europe. Meanwhile, the Ottomans would gain access to European resources, manpower, and knowledge. Imagine Ottoman ships powered by European science, or alliances with Asian powers like Mughal India. The global balance of power shifts eastward. But centuries later, what would this world look like? By the 18th century, the Ottomans might control nearly half of Europe. The Habsburgs vanish from history. Germany remains divided, unable to unite. France, facing a powerful Ottoman presence at its borders, might abandon wars in the Americas, giving Britain more room to dominate overseas. Without a strong Austria, the map of Europe changes forever. No Austrian Empire means no Austrian influence in Italy, no later Austro-Hungarian Empire, and perhaps no World War I as we know it. Instead, Europe becomes a battleground between two giants, a Muslim Ottoman superpower in the east and rising Protestant maritime powers in the west. Colonization of the Americas and Asia would also change. With Europe weakened, perhaps the Ottomans themselves project power into the Indian Ocean and beyond. Imagine Ottoman colonies in Africa, or even the New World. By the 19th century, the Enlightenment and Industrial Revolution might look very different, or be delayed. Modern Europe could be a mix of Islamic and Christian states, borders drawn along lines of faith rather than nations. And today, perhaps Istanbul, not London or Paris, would be the financial and cultural heart of the modern world. Perhaps the Ottoman Empire never falls at all, surviving as a dominant global power into the 21st century. But this is just one possibility. History is full of fragile turning points. Vienna's fall would not just have been the loss of a city. It would have been the collapse of an entire order. Would Europe eventually rally, forging new coalitions to drive the Ottomans back? Or would the continent slowly transform, absorbed into a vast empire, stretching from the deserts of Arabia to the forests of Germany? And if that happened, what would become of the world we know today? So, what if the Ottoman Empire had captured Vienna in 1683? Maybe Europe would have been conquered piece by piece, reshaping religion, science, and global power forever. Maybe the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and even the birth of modern democracy would have taken completely different paths. It reminds us of how fragile history really is. One battle, one decision, one moment in time could have changed everything. So I'll leave you with this question. If Vienna had fallen, would our modern world still be recognizable? Or would we be living in the shadow of an Ottoman century?